All right, the Houston Texans have advanced, taking down the Pittsburgh Steelers with a final score of 36. However, the contest itself didn't remotely feel like a 36 blowout. This was fundamentally a 10-9 type of game, a 6-3 defensive struggle that somehow, through a series of events, ballooned into a lopsided result. Let's be clear that Houston Texans defense has been legitimate all along. There was simply nothing Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers' offense could consistently generate. On the rare occasions they did scheme up an opportunity, they failed to execute. They simply did not make the plays when they were there. Stroud undoubtedly had an inconsistent performance, but he also delivered several critical, high-level throws at key moments that sustained drives and kept the Steelers' defense on its heels. To be unequivocal, however, Stroud must be better. If the Steelers' offense had shown even a modicum of productivity, the loss could have been directly attributed to some of Stroud's miscues. I'm more forgiving of certain fumbles. When you're in the process of throwing and get hit, that's sometimes unavoidable. The interception, however, when you're in field goal range, if not officially in the red zone, is unacceptable in this style of playoff game. As I anticipated, this had all the markings of a low-scoring 10-6 or 12-6 defensive duel, reminiscent of games we've seen in recent postseasons. That's exactly what it was shaping up to be, until the Texans' defense emphatically declared, "No, we are taking matters into our own hands and scoring points ourselves." The defense didn't just win this game, they dominated it in breathtaking fashion. That is the unequivocal story. This isn't a unit that relies solely on raw physicality or clever schematic wrinkles. They possess the complete package: elite communication, relentless effort, superb tackling, brilliant coaching, and impeccable timing. It is, quite simply, a masterclass in defensive football. Some Broncos and Seahawks fans have expressed frustration with my consistent praise for this Texans defense. Let me reiterate, the Seahawks defense is also phenomenal. Perhaps it's a toss-up between the two. But watching the Texans defense operate is a singular joy, possibly heightened because their offense isn't currently a high-flying unit. Your focus as a viewer narrows to the defensive artistry. With Seattle, the offensive firepower might create a more balanced viewing experience. When you watch Houston, you find yourself asking, what can I learn from watching this defense? What am I witnessing right now? The Steelers essentially had no chance. None. Holding an opponent to 6 points and something like 80 total yards at halftime is a recipe for victory. But I'm telling you now, for a deep run, the offense needs to elevate. The loss of Nico Collins appears significant. I highly doubt he returns by Sunday, and he might even be out longer. That is a substantial blow. Stroud will need to raise his level. The upcoming opponent, the New England Patriots, presents a far more potent offensive challenge. Drake May has been sacked and hit relentlessly all season, and it hasn't fazed him. We witnessed what a stout defense, the Chargers, could do against New England, and I've been vocal about the Chargers' defensive quality as well. There will be similarities. However, Drake May uses his mobility effectively, can make big throws, and has multiple weapons like DeAndre Hopkins and others. There are pieces to work with. Consequently, this next game will place even more responsibility on Stroud's shoulders, along with the effectiveness of the run game. The final box score, 21 points, perhaps makes Stroud's performance appear better than it was. This isn't to say he played terribly, but to win a Super Bowl, you simply require higher quality quarterback play. He made several beautiful throws. More of that, please. Less of the other stuff. The attempted trick plays felt unnecessary. Their defense is so dominant, there was no need for gimmickry. The stat sheet looks rough with 5 credited fumbles, though some were likely bad snaps. That lack of synchronization is problematic. A more disciplined team like the Patriots could exploit such errors. Yet, the Texans converted 10 of 15 third downs, while the Steelers were a dismal 2 for 14. The Steelers averaged 2.9 yards per pass attempt. The Texans averaged 7. Those numbers are staggering. As a Texans fan, you should be ecstatic, pumped, over the moon. A 36 playoff win is monumental. However, it's also fair to feel slightly unsettled or uncomfortable with the offensive performance heading into deeper waters against superior competition. One could argue the Steelers possess a better defense than the Patriots, which is a point in Houston's favor. The run game was effective, 31 carries for 164 yards, though much of that production came late. Those consistent chunk runs of 3 or 4 yards make Stroud's job considerably easier. Getting Christian Kirk and others involved is crucial. I anticipate the Patriots' offense will be more productive than the Steelers' utterly anemic showing. Therefore, Houston's offense must operate with significantly cleaner execution to advance. Drake May didn't play a flawless game either, but he made the necessary plays, and I'm more inclined to grant him leeway for a first playoff start against a great defense. It will be fascinating to see how the Texans' defense schemes for May. Can they force turnovers and limit his big play opportunities? He will take deep shots. If those connect, can the Texans' offense answer in a shootout? Consider this. If the Steelers had managed a few more scores, making it a competitive, must-have drive scenario in the fourth quarter, did you truly feel the Texans' offense could have marched down the field and scored a decisive touchdown? In that specific game, I did not have that confidence. I saw great individual plays, but not the sustained clutch drive capability. That type of moment will inevitably arrive, perhaps as soon as the AFC Championship game, or certainly in a Super Bowl. If your defense continues to hold everyone to 6 points, you'll win. I'm confident in that. If your defense also scores touchdowns, you'll win every game in spectacular fashion. But for sustained championship success, CJ Stroud and that offense have to be better. I must emphasize that point. I don't want to diminish the joy or the praise the Texans deserve. This victory is all about them and is incredibly exciting. That's why, even in the live chat, I was balancing celebration with realistic critique. We'll see how it unfolds, but those are my reflections. I am genuinely eager to hear yours. What are your thoughts on the Houston Texans' victory? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, whether you agree or disagree. Let's engage in some discussions, have some spirited debates, but ultimately, let's enjoy the conversation. Please consider subscribing. We are building an incredible community here and would love for you to be part of it. I aim to create something we all feel connected to and excited about, and I believe we're making significant progress. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it genuinely helps with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.